Dear student, welcome back to Kiran. Student, in this session, you are learning about one of the important phenomena in sexual reproduction, that is gamete transfer. Yes, in this session, we are studying about gamete transfer. Gamete transfer is one of the important event in sexual reproduction. It is important phenomena, important event in sexual reproduction. It takes place in both higher and lower organisms. Gamete transfer is actually it takes place in both higher and lower organisms. After gametogenesis, in the sense after the formation of gametes, this phenomena helps the gamete to undergo fertilization. Specifically, this phenomena helps the gamete to undergo fertilization. Dear student, let us understand what actually meant by gamete transfer. Dear student, gamete transfer is the process of bringing together of male and female gamete. It is the process of bringing together both the male and female gamete for fertilization. This is what is known as gamete transfer. Gamete transfer, it is the transfer of male gamete. You can say in this way also, it is the transfer of male gamete towards the female gamete for the purpose of fertilization. So here both the male and female gamete are actually bringing together to carry the process known as fertilization. This is what is called as gamete transfer. You can easily define this phenomena in another way also. It is the transfer of male gamete. It is the transfer of male gamete towards the female gamete for the purpose of fertilization. Dear student, after the formation of gametes, that is after the gametogenesis, what happens? Male and female gamete should come in physical association. Male and female gamete should come in physical association so that these gametes can fused with each other. When both these gametes come in association with each other, these gametes will undergo fertilization. This is what is known as gamete transfer. Dear student, in majority of organisms, male are motile and female gametes are non-motile. In most of the organisms, male are motile. Motile means gametes are movable, and female gametes are non-motile, means female gametes are stationary. In the sense, these are not movable. While in algae and fungi, in case of algae and fungi, both types of gametes are motile. In both algae and fungi, the gametes are motile. Dear student, during gamete formation, the gametes are produced. Later on, the gametes must have to be transferred. During a gamete transfer, a large number of gametes fail to reach female gamete. Remember, many number of gametes fail to reach female gamete. To fulfill this loss, the number of gametes produced are several thousand times more than the female gametes. Remember, to fulfill this loss, the number of gametes produced are several thousand times more than female gametes. In the sense, the male gametes are maximum in number. As the number of gametes are more, so the chances of a fusion with female gamete is also maximum. This is how in case of gamete transfer, the gamete plays a very important role. Dear student, in case of bryophytes and pteridophytes, gamete is transferred through water. Here, the water acts as a medium of transfer. In bryophytes and pteridophytes, for the transfer of male gametes, water acts as a medium. Then, in a seed plant, in seed producing plants, pollens are transferred to the stigma by pollination. Pollination means transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. Pollination means transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is known as a pollination. Mainly in angiosperms, that is in seed producing plants, pollens are transferred to the stigma by pollination. This is the way of gamete transfer in seed bearing plants. Then, most important feature about the gamete transfer is, student, in bisexual self-fertilizing plants, remember, in bisexual self-fertilizing plants, anthers and stigma are located close to each other. Remember, the arrangement of anther and stigma is very simple here. Both of these, anthers and stigma, are situated very close to each other. Hence, fertilization takes place easily. But in cross-pollinating plants like wind and insects moving for collecting the nectar from the flowers helps in pollination. Dear student, let us have a quick overview on transfer of gametes during cross pollination. Student, in cross pollinating plants including dioecious plants, pollination helps in transfer of gametes. Pollination helps in transfer of gametes. Pollen grains which are produced from the anther of flower releases, and these pollen grains carried by the pollinators. These pollinators are pollinating agents. Pollen grains reaches the stigma of another flower, wherein pollen grains germinate on the stigma and the pollen tube carrying male gametes reach the ovule. Here in stigma, pollen grains germinate and produces pollen tube carrying male gametes reach the ovule and discharge male gametes near the egg. This is how the transfer of gametes takes place in cross pollination. Excellent. It is very simple. Dear student, the pollen grains released from the anther of the flower carried by pollinators, pollinating agents like insects, birds and animals. These pollen grains, on reaching the stigma, germinates to produce pollen tube. On reaching the stigma, germinates to produce pollen tube. This pollen tube discharges male gametes to the egg. Dear student, this is all of about transfer of gametes. Thank you.